do an emotional roundup today to Supersize and Grow Your Business. Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here. We're talking about each of the 9 life framework areas that I talk about every year. I've talked about it every year, at least since 2020. I think prior to that, I talked about 7 life framework areas because I learned those from Tony Robbins and Jim Rohn. It could have been, I think it was the like 1980. It was a late night infomercial thing. I was in the hospital in Omaha, Nebraska, working for the summer, and had some weird health thing that ended up messing me up for about 4 or 5 years after that. But that's a story for another day. Today, we are going to do an emotional roundup. We're looking at the emotional area and aspect of our life and our business, because our businesses are living, breathing entities in and of themselves. And they have an emotional, cultural footprint, just like we do as individuals. So today we're going to do a roundup. I looked at how I rated this area at the beginning of the year, and then about a week or so ago, and it went from a 6+ to a 7, which is a little bit of an increase. And original priority was a 3, and I bumped at the beginning of the year, and I bumped that to 5 when I just did it recently in terms of priority of the 9 areas, because I usually, and I do this every year, I have for at least 5 years now, I structure everything this way: my personal life and my big personal goals, my lifelong legacy goals, and I break those down. And then my businesses, I run them that way too, because I want to make sure that we're considering all the aspects, because human beings are running our businesses with us, right? Are considered so we can grow and supersize and be the best possible business that we can, because we want to solve problems and serve people in ways that actually work for them. And emotions have a lot to do with that, right? Marketers are adept at tapping into people's emotions and using them to get you to buy their stuff. I have actually stopped watching health-related presentations, videos, webinars, anything, because I get suckered into every single thing that's out there on the market, and can't take all that stuff. So, and my cardiologist says, yeah, just say no. So I stopped watching them. So how do we do a roundup? We look at what were our wins, our emotional wins this whole past year. What are some of the wins? And I say, write down as many of those as you can think of. Then, what lessons did we learn as a business? What emotional related lessons did we learn? Did we learn that when we make immediate decisions based on emotions, that doesn't always work out the best for us? Maybe that's one of the lessons that you learned. That might be a lesson that I learned. Maybe. I'm not going to admit it right here. What is our biggest challenge that we still have in the area of emotions or emotional related? Do we need to up our organization's emotional intelligence? Maybe. Do we need to increase or improve something in our culture that's tied to emotions and people behaving and responding emotionally, instead of pausing, taking a deep breath, regulating, and then choosing to respond or react? That could hit communication as well. But we're focusing on what impacts our emotional health and well-being as an organization as we do this roundup. And then finally, what's next? What are we going to do next year? What are the top 3 things with respect to emotional health and well-being that we are going to do for our business next year? Maybe we're going to have a specialist or consultant come in and train our executive team on emotional intelligence. That's probably a good idea for just about every organization out there, right? Wish I knew somebody that did that. I could do referrals for them. So that's how we do our roundup. We just look at those 4 things, and it doesn't have to take but 4 or 5 minutes to do this, right? If you want to spend more time on it, great, because I think it's a terrific exercise to do at the end of the year and then getting ready for the new year. Because you have then, on a 1 sheet of paper, you should be able to do this: your wins, your lessons learned, your biggest challenge that's still remaining, and what's next. What are your top 3 things for next year? And by looking at what we did in the past and what's working and doing more of that in the future, that's the kind of things we want to capture, or lessons learned. And I guess if this is hard for you or challenging for you, I think that maybe the biggest challenge for you is asking yourself why. Why is this a hard exercise to do? And that might be your biggest challenge for next year. Ooh, I said that right out loud. All right, if I can help you with this in any way, just ask. Literally done it I think probably tens of thousands of times at this point. All right, have an amazing year, or holiday and year end, but have an amazing day today. And I will, of course, be with you tomorrow because the year's not over yet. Bye.